This episode of the Commercial Real Estate Investor Podcast is brought to you by CRE Launch Pro. This online commercial real estate program is designed to take you from beginner to pro commercial real estate investor with access to all of my courses, our online community, and monthly group coaching calls. Learn how to confidently buy your first commercial property today at www.crelaunchpro.com. Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Investor Podcast, live from Nashville, Tennessee in the Cobble Group studios. Today with another episode of Office Hours. This is the weekly live stream that I do to answer any and all questions that you have around commercial real estate. So if you want some free coaching, I guess you get what you pay for, but jump in, ask your questions in the live chat, and I'm happy to get to it. Let's talk about some updates real quick before we dive into any questions. So I guess it was yesterday I posted on my Instagram story about some new investment opportunities that we are working on at the moment. For those of you that have been following me for a while, you probably know that I syndicate all of our commercial real estate investment projects. Well, the majority of them. Some of them I just buy with a couple friends. They're done through what's called a 506B syndication, meaning I have to have a pre-existing relationship with you in order for you to invest in our properties. But you don't necessarily have to be an accredited investor. You just have to know how real estate investing works. So if you are interested in jumping in on some of our investment opportunities this year, go to tylercobble.com/invest, and we'll set up a phone call and be happy to talk to you about what we got going on there. This week has been fun. We've shot 2 stories of the deal. That is my favorite YouTube series that we've got going on right now. It's the content that I wish I had when I first got started in commercial real estate. So it's, the story behind the deal, right? The full story, not just hey, look at how amazing this is that we did it. No, we're getting into, how did you find it? How did you fund it? How did you raise the money? What went wrong? What went right? What was different from what you expected getting into this project, and what were the returns? How much money did you actually make on this project? Was it even profitable? Some of them are not. So it's been a fun week getting to work on content like that. I always enjoy, really diving into these projects. I mean, it's a fun thing for me to kind of play journalist, right, and learn a little bit about what's going on in other people's deals. This week, if you're in Nashville, we are having a happy hour at Bay 6. We are doing that. I probably should have looked up the time before I went live. We are doing that tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So that's Wednesday, April 3rd at Bay 6. That's at the Wash here in Nashville. So anybody's welcome to come on out if you're interested in commercial real estate. Come grab a drink and hang with us. Josephine Safford and I are going to be hosting that, and we're doing that monthly. We used to do this a little while back. We would host a monthly happy hour. We kind of both got a little bit busy and it fell off track. So now we're getting back to it and looking forward to connecting with you all. We're also, we have been working our tails off trying to get ahead on YouTube. Right now, we're basically doing the videos a week before they post, which, isn't the worst thing in the world, but it would be a little bit nicer if we could get ahead and have, several weeks of room just in case. It's tough, especially with the type of content that we do. It's very time intensive, labor intensive, and, just thought intensive, honestly, with the way that we want to make sure that we're portraying everything so that it's best received and understood. Because a lot of the topics that we talk about in commercial real estate can be very complicated. So, hopefully we'll be able to get ahead of that here in the next month or two. Looking forward to that because, it's a lot of work. I didn't expect this getting into the YouTube side of things. I thought that it would just kind of be, a little part-time thing that I do here and there. But it has become almost my full-time job. And a lot of people are surprised by that. I'm actually spending more time on YouTube than I am just about anything else other than running our investments at this point. I used to spend the majority of my time focused on brokerage, working with a property management company. Fortunately, now I've got, amazing teams that are handling all of that for us. Otherwise, I couldn't be doing this. But it does, YouTube's interesting. It generates 70 to 80% of the business for my companies now, whether that's, people that are looking for, to buy investments anywhere in the country. We work on triple net investments across the country. We've got people that want to invest with us at Hamilton, And then, of course, I've got the group coaching courses, stuff like that, which is a lot of fun to get to do. But it's interesting. I mean, YouTube has totally changed kind of the way that we do business. I saw an interesting article this morning from BizNow that I wanted to dive into. This is my buddy Dave Codre. If you're familiar with Greenleaf, Dave was actually in our investors roundtable for a little bit. But he had always talked about how you could convert single and two-story office spaces into industrial flex, and this article actually highlights him and what they're doing. I think it's pretty fascinating. This is from BizNow. It says more than 30% of office spaces in Metro Atlanta are vacant. That's crazy. Like 30%. That's a crazy amount. So there's a lot of owners that are trying to embrace adaptive reuse, convert underutilized office space into multifamily, industrial, or other assets. And Dave's company, Greenleaf, is converting a lot of these into more attractive uses without breaking the bank. He typically spends anywhere from $10 to $20 a square foot to convert these offices into flex space. So they're doing it very cost effectively. Let's see. He says, while some of these properties may look deserted on the outside, they're actually in excellent shape on the inside with quality amenities, a sound layout, and strong market potential due to being in a prime location. That's the great thing about converting these older office spaces into flex space. Even if it's an older office building, it's still going to be higher quality than a lot of industrial space, right? So, the office spaces, the restrooms, etc. And then you've got drop ceilings, which, typically have taller ceilings above that. So rip the drop ceilings out and, see what you can do there. Let's see. He's also saying, one property that they deemed ideal for flex conversion was Forum Flex, a single-story business park in Peachtree Corners, a northern suburb of Atlanta. It was a two-building property built in 1998 and enjoyed high occupancy for many years until a large move-out happened, which left the property 59% vacant. Greenleaf saw that as an opportunity. So they said it's got a great layout, natural lighting and space. It was cost-effective opportunity to bring new life into this excellent submarket. So, one thing to think about as you're going out there, a lot of people that I talk to through this channel are interested in developing their own new construction flex space. That's not the easiest thing to do. It's not. It's relatively easy compared to the majority of, different commercial assets that you could be developing out there, but development's not easy. Development is actually the hardest thing you could do in commercial real estate, in my opinion. A lot of people make it seem like it's a lot easier than it really is. And it's not. Typically I'm recommending to clients, like, get out there, get, 2 to 3 properties under your belt, and then let's talk about what it looks like to get into development. However, doing adaptive reuse like this, going out and finding a single or 2-story office building and converting it into flex, that's relatively straightforward. Now, you need to make sure that the zoning applies and that, hopefully your MEP and everything else is sufficient. But that's a good opportunity right now. You might be able to get some office space on discount and get out there and convert it into flex. All right, let's get into some questions here. Real Career Young Money is saying, how would you find commercial property to develop? Looking to build a warehouse in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Hard to find land to build. Well, that's kind of funny considering everything I just said about development. But Real, I'm going to assume that you've been doing commercial real estate for a while. There's a ton of land out there to develop. Chattanooga has a bunch of open land everywhere you go. Whether you're going south towards Rossville, you're going north towards Red Bank. There's in Soddy Daisy. there's plenty of land out there for you to build. So what I would do is just go out, find a major corridor that you like, and start driving and get 10, 15 minutes outside of town and see what starts popping up, because that's where the land's going to be more affordable. And the types of tenants that you're going to be going for when it comes to this flex space are not going to be as picky about needing to be right downtown. That's the one thing that I realize, a lot of people struggle with, is that they think, I want to build flex space. I need land that's like in the hottest area of town. No, you really don't want that, because it's just going to be unbelievably expensive. Nobody's going to be able to pay the rent that you're going to need in order to, justify the cost, the build cost. So that's what I would recommend for that. Here's another article from BizNow that I wanted to cover because we met Bob Knel in Atlanta not too long ago. He announced today that he is starting his new investment sales firm with a focus on AI, which I think is pretty interesting. Artificial intelligence was part of the conversation that Bob and I had when we were down in Atlanta. And, I think we're actually releasing this video this week, so you'll see it. I think it's actually going out today. Yeah, it's going out today at 5:30. So stay tuned. Today, 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, we've got a video on Bob Knel, the interview with Bob Knel going out. But he said in the interview, if you're not going to be replaced by AI if you're a commercial real estate broker, but you certainly will be replaced by somebody using AI. And I thought that was a pretty interesting quote. So he's going all in on AI. Looks like he's hired Seth Samowitz, who boasts an AI background and has worked at tech companies Uber and Square, as his COO. Team consists of 7 people, which Knel plans to grow to between 15 and 20. Good to see him going out and restarting his own firm again. He was with JLL for a little bit. Mackie Nassel was his brokerage firm back in the day, and he was very intentional about doing that. He went out, grew it, and wanted to be acquired and sell it, and he did that. And then, worked for some corporate firms for a little bit, and now he's getting back to it. But I think it's really interesting to see that, Bob Knel, who's one of the best brokers out there. I mean, he's sold over $24 billion worth of commercial real estate. That is billion with a B. He's had multiple years over $1 and $2 billion in sales. Even he is leaning into AI. So that's one thing that I'll challenge you. How are you using AI in your business? What are you doing to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to AI? John is saying, Tyler, good morning. What's the best way to get into commercial real estate as a career without being location dependent? Analyst roles? Yeah, John, I would say being an analyst is probably the best location independent role in commercial real estate out there. I mean, of course, you could be a virtual assistant, but that's not really going to get you to where you want to be. Being an analyst is great, though, because it's at the end of the day, it's just market data. You can do that from anywhere. You can make the phone calls to the market to get, talk to appraisers, talk to brokers, boots on the ground, whatever, to collect all the data that you need. You can underwrite from a coffee shop anywhere in the world. It doesn't really matter. I think that, being an analyst is pretty good. It's you couldn't be a broker, right? Because you've got to be on the ground building relationships. You couldn't be a developer because you've got to be on the ground building relationships. I mean, that's the toughest thing about real estate in general, is that you are very location dependent. I mean, I've thought about that before. I mean, fortunately, I love Nashville and I never want to leave the city. I could see myself having a second home somewhere else eventually, but I don't ever want to leave, this town. And if I did, it would be kind of devastating. I mean, it's, you're not necessarily starting all over by going to a new city, but you're starting over fresh. It's difficult because now you got to get out there and rebuild all of those relationships that were so important when you were getting started and building your business. So, certainly something to think about. I mean, I get asked all the time, I want to do commercial real estate. Should I do it in my, smaller town, or should I go ahead and move to a big city? And my answer is usually just, where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself in the next 10 to 15 years? If you don't want to be in a big city, stay where you are. I mean, your income potential may be capped, but you're going to love where you live, and the cost of living is probably lower. If you don't like where you live, then go ahead and, move somewhere else and start your commercial real estate career there. That way you don't have to worry about, switching midstream, because that is not easy. I've got a couple of buddies that have done it, and man, it's tough because you basically have to spend the first 6 months in any market that you move into just networking like crazy to meet every single person you can. Max Leventer is saying, hey, Tyler, appreciate the work you put in for us. Absolutely, Max. Happy to do it, man. Which asset type is currently the best investment opportunity? Can you list a few up-and-coming commercial real estate markets that aren't as well known? So Max, it's tough for me to say which asset type is really the best investment opportunity. In my opinion, it comes down to what is your skill set? What are you willing to learn the best? And what do you enjoy, right? What do you actually love? Because I think that any asset class could actually be just as good as anything else. I don't think that there's one where it's like, yeah, this is the clear winner. I think it comes down to the market, the investor, the strategy. There's so many different factors that go into it. Look, I think multifamily is bloated right now, but there are also people out there that are finding really good multifamily deals and making great money, right? It's very rare, but I mean, people are doing it. I love industrial right now just because I think that there is a very long-term opportunity for industrial. I see a lot of, manufacturing coming back to the United States at some point. So to me, it seems like that's going to be a very good long-term investment. And it's also relatively Amazon-proof, right? Because you've got the service businesses that can't really be replaced by e-commerce. We're talking plumbing, electric, podcast studios, whatever you want, that can kind of go into a flex space. So I do like industrial. Look, I think self-storage is also bloated in many ways, unless you're building, because the cap rates are just so low. But again, there's people out there that are buying successful self-storage deals. I do love industrial outdoor storage. I mean, if you want to talk about, up and coming markets that people may not be as well known. I mean, I'm in Nashville, so I'm paying more attention to the markets that are immediately around me. I love Chattanooga. I mean, hands down, what an amazing city. My girlfriend's parents live in Greenville, South Carolina. That market is awesome. I think, Asheville, North Carolina is pretty interesting. I like Huntsville, Alabama. I wish Birmingham would take off because Birmingham is really cool, but it just doesn't quite seem to be able to get there. Those are probably the markets that I'm paying attention to most that are, smaller that people may not necessarily be paying attention to. Oh, Jeff, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you, man. Saying good morning. Just wanted to say, love these live shows. Looking forward to visiting CCC and talking more about how to best share my redemption story through commercial real estate as I rebuild real time. Jeff, good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping in the live stream. Glad to hear you're enjoying it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you here at CCC in Nashville and catching up. I had a lot of fun in Vermont. So for those of y'all that don't know, Jeff is a brother of mine in Go Abundance, our mastermind. And so he's coming to visit me in Nashville. So we're going to have some fun. Looking forward to seeing you, Jeff. Well, actually, while you're here, why don't we get you in the studio? We'll just go live. We'll talk about your story. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Shoot me a text. I know I'm not the best at texting you back, but I promise I will respond. Evan is saying, if you had to choose, what would be easier to lease out? 1,000 square feet of storage with electric or 1,000 to 3,000 square foot flex space? Also, in regards to networking, what's the best way to meet others in commercial real estate? Evan, I would probably go with 1,000 to 3,000 square feet of flex space, but it depends. I mean, is this the same space? And you're going to have to deliver the flex space with more work into it. Like you're going to have to spend more money. I would kind of run the cost benefit analysis of having to invest that capital into it to determine, if it's going to be worth it. But typically, storage is great, but unless you have storage at scale, it doesn't make a lot of sense. For 1,000 square feet of storage, what are you going to be able to get? $1,000 a month? I would imagine maybe $500 a month. I mean, I think it'd be tough to get $1,000 a month unless somebody has something really nice they want to store. Whereas on the flex space side, I mean, people would be willing to pay well over $1,000 a month if they're able to operate their business out of there. So just something I would look into. It depends on the market, of course. I would go and make sure that I understood exactly what the occupancy vacancy rates are, which tenants are moving in the market. But at the end of the day, it couldn't hurt to kind of advertise for both, right? I mean, sometimes that's what we'll do on some of our assets is just market it for any potential user that we think might be a fit. Let's bring them in and see what we can get. Jake is saying, Tyler, glad to finally catch one of these live. Yeah, Jake, glad you're able to join us, man. How do you stay motivated working on deals and building a business when sometimes deals take 3 to 5 years to get done? Oh, that's a brutal question because I'm in the middle of a project right now that is some serious deal fatigue. We've been working on this. It's on my Salt Ranch Hotel. We've been working on it since 2021, so going on 3 years, and we're just now about to get our permits. It's taken us 2 years to get permits from the city. I mean, Nashville is just absolutely miserable to deal with. There's a developer that just announced 2 weeks ago that's suing the city over the permitting process. I wish they would open that up to a class action lawsuit because I would happily jump in. But it's tough because, the city doesn't want to seem to fix the problem. And what are you going to do? Sue the city? Then you're going to create a bunch of enemies that, don't really want. I mean, it's just there's a lot of, red tape and politics involved. And I think it's BS, but it needs to be fixed. So, yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with deals like that, I guess you just focus on a bunch of different things, right? I mean, I've got the Salt Ranch Hotel, of course. If that was the only thing I was working on, then yeah, I'd be absolutely miserable. But we've also got, the deal out in Chattanooga. We're putting together a second version of the Wash. We're looking at an indoor climate-controlled self-storage build. We're looking at doing some industrial outdoor storage. I'm looking at a single-tenant net lease deal. There's so much that we have going on. So it's not like that's the only thing that's consuming my mind day in and day out. So, I mean, that's probably how I do it. And also, I guess I'm just kind of used to it. That's really just what this business is. For the last 10 years, it's always been that way. And I say last 10 years because that's when I've been in the business, but it's been that way since, the dawn of time. It takes forever to get any of these deals done. But, I mean, I also kind of think that that's a good thing, right? I mean, it keeps the people that are not serious about commercial real estate out of the industry, which is great. John is saying, what is the best way to get phone numbers to cold call prospects? Thanks for your time, Tyler. Absolutely, John. So the best way is, there's a couple different ways. One, you could just go on their Instagram or Facebook and see, what number, where it goes. Sometimes LinkedIn also has that, right? That would probably be the office number but if you're cold calling, the office number is probably the one that you're going to want, right? You're going to get to the gatekeeper. You're going to say, hey, this is so-and-so, is Jimmy there, whatever, right? Sometimes they'll just patch you right through. The other way is just look up their address on, white pages. You could also, there's some AI out there. I forget what they're called. There's different kinds of AI that you could use. I think you could use something like Zoom Info to get phone numbers. So there's many different ways to do it. You could do the volume, which would be like going for Zoom Info, paying $1,000 a month for a subscription and just calling a bunch of people. Or you could be, more intentional and, take it more of a sniper approach and just spend as much time as you can on the websites and this and that and the other, trying to find that information. To be honest with you, I haven't cold called in probably over 5 years, maybe over 7 years. So I'm not very caught up on that. I haven't had to because I went out and created all sorts of different fishing lines for me to catch fish while I'm out hunting, which my hunting has always been networking in person and meeting people in person. That way I don't have to cold call. So hope that helps, John. Kelly, good day, y'all. Thanks for doing these live chats, Tyler. So informative. Of course, Kelly, happy to do it. These are always a lot of fun for me. It's good to go live with you all and catch up on commercial real estate and see what's going on. It's never a bad time. It's always fun. We've got 65 people live with us right now, which is pretty cool to see. But yeah, there's a whole bunch going on, and who knows what we're going to be doing next. That's the fun thing about this stuff, right? So, well, if there are not any other questions, then we'll just go ahead and call it a day. Appreciate you all for joining me live, and we will see y'all in the next office hours. This episode of the Commercial Real Estate Investor Podcast is brought to you by CRE Launch Pro. This online commercial real estate program is designed to take you from beginner to pro commercial real estate investor with access to all of my courses, our online community, and monthly group coaching calls. Learn how to confidently buy your first commercial property today at www.crelaunchpro.com.